When utilizing Steward EC insecticide for alfalfa weevil larval control, there are about 5 important points to consider before making that application. Number 1 is you need to have enough foliage in that alfalfa field for the Steward EC insecticide to stick to. Steward EC insecticide really needs to be consumed by those alfalfa weevil larvae to be effective. So we need about 6 to 8 inches of growth prior to making a Steward EC application. Number 2 is if you don't have enough foliage, let's just say you got 1 to 2 inches and the alfalfa weevil larvae are really consuming that foliage, that's not a good place for Steward EC insecticide to be utilized. That's where we may come in with a pyrethroid plus an organophosphate, something like Mustang Max at 4 ounces, dimethoate at 16 ounces has been very effective in knocking back weevil populations, and then where you then maybe come back in with Steward EC insecticide a little bit later. Kind of the third point to consider is don't spray 2 days prior or after a cold snap. Again, we want those alfalfa weevil larvae to consume the foliage. If the young larvae are deep into that terminal growth, kind of keep them warm, and then also the big larvae have dropped down to the ground, they're not feeding, that's not a good time to make a Steward EC insecticide application. Again, we want optimal feeding for them to take up the Steward EC insecticide. And again, a significant cold snap is something maybe where it's dropped down into the very low 30s or maybe mid to low or to high 20s. Another important fact or point is number 4 is the use of surfactants. You know, we really want to spread that Steward EC insecticide over that foliage evenly and effectively, not just on the top leaves but down in the canopy, and a surfactant can really help do that. Probably my most preferred is an NIS at you know, 1/4 to 0.5% volume to volume, but COC, MSO, and some of those surfactants can also be effective. Probably the last point, the 5th point that I was going to mention is just proper spray coverage. You know, if we're going to spray alfalfa, it can be very dense depending on what stage you're making that application in the alfalfa. Somewhere between 3 to 5 gallons per acre by air, and somewhere between 15 to 20 gallons with the ground rig is really, I think, essential to get good and effective coverage and get down to where those large larvae are and down deep where the small larvae are. I hope these 5 tips help you optimize the performance of Steward EC insecticide. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact your local FMC sales rep.